Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. I'm glad everyone's here. Oh, hey, just me. Hey, Jody. Hey, Tracy. Oh, Tracy, you're new here. Hey, Kay. Let's see, we got. Hi, Carmen. Hi, Jeannie. I just want to start with. There's been a lot of backlash about today's show, and maybe it's understandable. It is. I just want to start with this. The channel, the team, the people that are coming on are in no way trying to sympathize, humanize, or make excuses for the pieces of shit that did this. No way, no how. You will never hear this channel victim blame, victim shame, or try to make sense of a murderer's mind. There's a whole department at the FBI called behavioral science, and that's way out of my realm. I don't want to be in a murderer's mind. Stuff like this enough gives me nightmares. Don't even want to think about it. So if you think, with this live, you're going to hear me say, oh, he didn't get the red bicycle he wanted when he was 8 years old, and then just things went crazy. No, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. I don't know if you guys saw, but over the last week, Tara Strozier, her murder, has been covered in People Magazine, Fox News. There's a local news station out of Florida, San Antonio, Tulsa, Oklahoma City, and the New York Post has picked it up. So that's amazing news. All the exposure she can have for what she went through. Torture, murder, kidnapping, she needs all the exposure she can get. This crime is so heinous, people can't wrap their minds around it. They just can't. Her mother has a GoFundMe, but also you can go to her office. In our group, there's an address. You can bring money. Any super chat that goes in here today will go directly to Tara's mother, Lisa. And the reason I suggest you go to her office is because GoFundMe actually takes a percentage because they're fucking scumbags. I mean, they could actually make money just off collecting interest because it takes you 7 days to get your money anyway, and they give it to you in increments. But it is what it is. So today we have a couple of brave women and should be some more coming on. And by the way, everyone that was here the other day for AV that spoke out about what Nathaniel did to her, thank you. Thank you for being respectful. Thank you for supporting her. Thank you for asking what you could do. Thank you for telling her it wasn't her fault. And this channel will always keep that momentum of being respectful and being kind and talking things out. And even if we don't agree, we can still be friends. So I'm going to bring our first guest up. She is a relative of Nathaniel Davis. I'm not going to say in what relation she is because it doesn't really matter. So, hey, hon.
Hey.
So I don't know if you had your mic muted or not. Did you hear about the all the coverage for Tara?
I haven't seen. I didn't know that it was in People's. I saw it on Oxygen. It was on people.com. I seen it a few places, but yeah, it's. I've seen a little bit of coverage on it, but like I said, I didn't know it was out there um, like that.
Okay, so let's start out with this. You're younger than Nathaniel, and you told me you've never known him as Nathaniel. Everyone always called him Alex.
Yeah, so it's weird to hear people talk about him as Nathaniel because we've all known him as Alex. I think Nathaniel was just some alter ego. I mean, I know that's his middle name, but um, we have never in our entire lives called him Nathaniel. It's always been Alex.
Do you know how many children he actually has? I know that there was a child born in July.
Yeah, I want to say that makes five. I don't know if that's counting the two that passed away, but I know that there's four alive now that the new baby's born.
Can you explain the two that passed away, or do you know?
So I only knew about the one, and I didn't know that there was actually two that had passed away, but the 2 month old that passed away, they ruled it as SIDS, but from what I learned the other day was that um, they thought it was foul play at first, and then they ruled it as SIDS. So I don't know if they took the time to investigate or look further into it, and they just kind of said, "Hey, we'll just rule this as SIDS and go on about our business."
Did anyone in the family maybe think he did something?
Um, I don't think so. Because he put on this big show about how his kids were everything to him and he was such a good father and this and that. And so I don't think anybody really batted an eye at it at first. But now we're like, okay, he probably it's a possibility that he did something.
Well, maybe that'll get looked into.
Yeah, hopefully they'll reopen that investigation and you know, rack on another charge for him.
Now, did you watch the show the other day about what he did to the other woman?
AV?
Yes.
Yes, I did. Um, yeah, I listened to that whole thing and it
And by the
was
way, nobody blames you or your family. No one. So let's, like I said, this channel always, we're going for one thing, and that's justice for Tara.
right.
And the people on the panel are definitely all for it. So
Right.
what were your thoughts?
Um, it it was terrifying to listen to her story. It I at one point I had to pause it because it made me start crying. I mean, it was terrible that she had to go through that. And I think that we're all just really heartbroken that somebody that we're related to was doing this to people. Um, it yeah, it was terrible.
When did you hear about Tara?
So it was kind of an accident how I stumbled across it, and I was scrolling through Facebook. I think it was Friday evening. I was just scrolling through Facebook, and I follow OSBI on Facebook because there were other posts from previous months, years, whatever that I had seen, and I followed them just to kind of get updated on
Well,
certain
everyone
things.
in Oklahoma follows OSBI.
Yeah.
We all like the page. So.
Right. So I'm scrolling through there and I saw I didn't read the post at first. I just kind of scrolled and saw the pictures of these three guys and I was like, "Man, that one looks really familiar." And I said, "That looks just like Alex." And I kept looking and I said, "That man looks just like Alex." So I scrolled back up and read the post and I was like, "Oh my gosh." And I was the first person to even find out about it or stumble across it, because when I called the rest of the family, they had no idea.
Do you know how many siblings he has?
He has 9.
Okay, 9. And none of them have had any issues, correct?
No, none.
He's just a fucking psychopath.
Right, yeah. The whole family, I mean, we've all been raised on Christian values. And nobody in my family has ever displayed any kind of behavior like that, um, except for him.
So, what did the rest of your family say when you came across OSBI and when you read about what he was being charged with? By the way, everyone, he's got court today at 1:30.
Um, they were just as taken back as I was. I mean, I don't want to say that we were all surprised that he was capable of something like that, but it's just the fact that it was there for us to see it. I mean, we were just mainly disgusted.
Who Dat has a question. Do we have ears in that courtroom? Yes, we do. But it won't be streamed live. You can't have cell phones. You can't live stream from there. So we're going to do a show on Monday or Tuesday, depending on when the people can be on to talk about what happened that day. So let me ask you a couple questions. And if you don't want to answer, you don't have to.
Okay.
Do you know, okay, I'm trying to phrase this a certain way so I don't sound like terribly bad, to you, not to him. Can you explain the story of when he tried to kill your brother?
So we were really young, and
Not your brother, but a brother.
yeah,
His brother, sorry.
yes, his brother. We were all really young, and we kind of had like a family day out by the creek. I think it was, I want to say Jack Creek, somewhere around the Boonville area. But anyways, we had a family day out there. I think his brother at the time was maybe 4 or 5. He was really, really little. And Alex is 8 years older than him, so he probably would have been 11, 12, preteen years. Um, and everybody was looking for little brother. We can't find him. Where's he at? So, everybody was kind of frantic. Well, Alex is standing in the water with his hand in the water, just kind of smiling. And Alex's older brother, I think, is the one who caught him doing it. But he found him pushing his little brother's head under the water, trying to drown him. And he almost succeeded if it wasn't for his older brother stopping him.
At what point did everyone just cut off all ties with him?
I think around the time that he had called DHS on his sister. He
Now, is this when he beat himself up?
Yes, so he beat himself up. At this time, he was probably around the same age, maybe 13. I'm not really sure. I can't really say exactly what age, but he was teens, preteens. Yeah, he beat himself up, and then he called DHS on his oldest sister, and just had a bunch of. She had to go through a bunch of stuff on that because she has kids of her own, and so he stirred up a lot of stuff for her, and that's when she kind of cut all ties with him. The rest of us, or the rest of his family and things like that, it's hard to say because his younger siblings were too young and they had different dads. So, they lived elsewhere. So they didn't really have any contact with him at all. And then the older ones, after he stirred up all that trouble, they pretty much said, okay, we're done with you. And then he was being raised by a Christian couple after that who really really tried to steer him in the right direction, and it just doesn't work with psychopaths.
Yeah, and let's take a break right here. No one here is trying to humanize him, sympathize with him, or make any of this okay.
Right, yeah.
We're just discussing that he has got the goddamn devil in him and has for a long time.
Yes, the fact that the rest of the family, like I said, was raised on Christian values. We've all been a really close family, except for him. And he's been like this his entire life. I mean, he's not like the rest of us. He's totally different. The way that we're not like him in looks, personality, morals, standards, nothing. Like he's just always been different and crazy, and so this wasn't something that he had learned, through other people's behavior. This is something that he was born with. Like he's just always been so crazy and psychotic.
So from what I was told from another family member, and if I'm wrong, then please correct me. He was put into different like boys' homes, and actually they tried to find him therapeutic foster care.
Yes. So I do believe that he had went through boys' homes, and I might be wrong. It may be around the time that he had called DHS on his sister and they took him. Don't quote me on that because I'm not sure, but he was in different foster homes.
And that's not the parents' fault. They had to get him away from the other children.
Yes, yeah, because he was displaying, crazy behavior in front of the younger kids, making them watch certain things and, being mean to them, doing things to them that he thought was funny, but was really traumatizing them or hurting them. And so, yeah, it was to separate him from the rest of the kids.
So really with the resources they had, they did all they could do because they knew there was a problem.
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of people are saying, why didn't they do something? In this country, you have to commit a crime to be put in jail. Mm-hmm. You have to be a danger to yourself or others to be institutionalized. And even that's only for 72 hours. That's how it is.
Right. Yeah. You can't
you can't just say, hey, he's weird. You can't do that.
Yeah, exactly.
So from what I was told, they got to a breaking point and they had to do something. The police weren't helping. The police wouldn't even touch it. I mean, they even said, just whip his ass. And again, no one is sympathizing. No one's sympathizing. Hang on, we lost her. She'll pop back in. There she is.
Hey, I don't know what happened. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It happens all the time. It's not a big deal.
But yes, not to mention
Amber has a question. She says, attempted murder would be on my mind for trying to kill the brother. And that is absolutely true.
Yeah.
That is absolutely true. But when you have one child with another, it's really hard to prove that your child trying to murder another child. It really is.
Yeah. And, I don't really, like I said, we were all so young. I don't know what had happened after that, but you know, I could see since they were all young, I could see them saying, well, maybe he just thought he was playing or he was just trying to be funny, you know, or something like that because he was a child at the time. Um, but I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what came about it afterwards. I don't know what had happened, what they did with him after that happened.
Well, what I heard is no one saw him again because they kept him away from the siblings. Is that right? Or do you know?
Um, that could be possible because I um a lot of his siblings never had contact with him for years after that.
After the drowning
It
or
was
the
around,
attempted drowning?
yeah, it was around that time, around the attempted drowning and the DHS call and things like that. Um, and I think the family started to really be afraid of him around that age when he started doing things like that. Is when they started to get scared, and that's, you know, when he started going into foster cares and things like that. And so the family just his siblings, family members, cousins, you know, they didn't have any ties with him after that. After that, those few incidences, and then it was years and years and years, and nobody really knew what he was up to, what he was doing. Nobody really cared to contact him. Um, so yeah,
Yeah. Um, it's absolutely insane that he flew under the radar for so long with the things he was doing.
yeah, that's what's crazy to me is, you know, like we had talked, I mean, like we had said, you don't just wake up one day and decide you're going to start committing these heinous crimes. This is something that he has had on his mind throughout the years, and now he's 30 years old, and he's just now caught. You know, there's I don't know how he hasn't been caught a long time ago.
Well, he escalated. I mean, let's go to childhood and what put off the red flags. He was abusing animals.
Yep. Yeah, he was.
So, you guys remember the old tin lunch boxes from the 70s and 80s? He had one with a kitten in it and was putting a cigarette lighter under it, making the cat scream. Yeah,
Yep.
and
And then
YouTube's probably going to strike this entire video just because of things that we're saying, but we're telling the truth.
yeah, and there was a time that his stepdad had caught him putting a kitten or a cat or I don't know which it was, but um, in a plastic bag and beating it in front of the other kids.
For fun.
Yeah, for fun. He thought it was funny.
Mm-hmm.
And he thought it was funny to sit there and let the other kids watch that. And he thought it was funny to try to twist their minds and scare or try to scare them. He thought it was hilarious.
Yeah. You know, I go back to Jeffrey Dahmer when he was on, his parents were on Oprah Winfrey, and they were like the most normal people, and they were talking about things he did as a child.
Mm-hmm.
And they said they couldn't foresee this happening. They couldn't foresee what he was doing. And they said that they went through a lot of things to try to get help, and nobody would really take him seriously. They're like, well, that's behavioral problems. And we're not going to rack this up to mental illness or bad childhood. You know, this is about a sick fuck.
No, this is beyond mental illness. This
Yeah, this is
is
the fucking devil.
Yes, this is possession. He is possessed. He's.
Don't think there's one Baptist church in Oklahoma praying for his ass today.
I sure hope not. Um, he, it just, it just, it's disgusting to us that somebody like this is actually related to all of us.
Amber, I don't know what you mean about protect their reputation. We're not here to protect anyone's reputation. I mean, a woman was tortured and murdered. We're not protecting anyone's reputation. We're putting out there that this guy is as sick as they come. Sick as they come. I mean, tried to kill his brother for fun, abuse animals for fun. It's disgusting.
Right.
And there's only so many resources that parents have, and they try and they try and they try and they try. And I mean, it went as far as if they sent him away to get him away from the other kids because they couldn't do anything and they couldn't get help. And I don't think they care about their reputation from what I understand. I mean, they're catching hell left and right.
That and, I mean, I feel like.
Oh, I'm sorry, Amber. I misunderstood you. Amber, if you want to grab the link. No, not protecting his saint. Yeah. Yeah. We're not protecting anyone's reputation. Nope. Won't happen. Not someone that did this. Go ahead. Sorry.
He has a bad reputation, and he doesn't need to be protected in any way.
Oh, Amber, you meant Jeffrey Dahmer. No, they went on there not for their reputation, basically because they were being hounded so bad about Jeffrey Dahmer. And they went on Oprah and they explained that he did some crazy stuff when he was growing up, similar to Nathaniel or Alex. And they were explaining basically that they were trying to get him help. They went through all the resources they had and nothing was working. And they thought like he outgrew it. Like it was a crazy interview. I mean, really nice people, but they didn't realize that he was suppressing all of this rage and anger. Oh, sorry, Amber. Amber goes, oh, okay, you got to dummy it down for me. Yeah. Yeah, when you get to that point, nobody's really trying to protect their reputation. I mean, they're kind of going through enough already, They at that point, everything's out there. They don't really care. They're just trying to explain, like, this is what happened. When was the last time you saw Nathaniel?
So, okay, so the last time I had saw him was at a family funeral. Now, I completely forgot about another instance where I saw him. I was actually in Arkansas, and he was with a woman. I never had met her. I couldn't even tell you his wife's name except for this last one, which they weren't married, is what I found out. But at that point, he had a little girl. It wasn't his, it was his wife's at the time. And he was showing us, wanted to show us her teeth, and flipped her upside down, holding her by her legs, up in the air. And we were like, oh my gosh, don't do that to that baby. And he just kind of stared at us and, turned her back over. So that was one of the last times I'd seen him, up until a family funeral years later, back in January. This wasn't even his side of the family. These are people that weren't even related to him directly by blood. And nobody reached out to him and said, hey, can you come? Or, hey, we'd like you to be here. He just heard about it and kind of showed up. And so we were all extremely uncomfortable because he's uncomfortable to be around. He's uncomfortable to talk to. I mean, nobody really sat there and listened to him talk because, for one, he lies. He's a pathological liar, and he lies about the stupidest crap.
We'll talk about that in a second. Explain the creepy feeling you get, because I've heard that from several people.
Yes, yeah, he's terrifying to be around. He's just terrifying to look at in general. He just has this demeanor that's just, I mean, you can just tell he's just got this dark, ominous aura about him. Like he's got something on his mind constantly that's not good. And he, just the way that he talks and how he talks, and what he talks about, it's just, he's just a scary person.
Can you say what he says that's scary?
Well, he threatened his mom at the funeral.
I was going to ask that. Was at the funeral? His grandfather's funeral, right?
Well, it wasn't his grandfather. So this side of the family he's not related to by blood.
Okay.
But yeah, at the funeral he had threatened his mom. And, you know, this was a time, it just wasn't the time for anything like that. I mean, he always, when you're around him, it's nothing but anger. And then he just talks about, he has no filter either.
Well, he thinks he's something else. And I'm going to go back to this. I think that he has escalated. Again, I'm not psychiatrist, psychologist, anything like that. But if you see how he started with animals, to his brother, to basically having women trafficked to him,
right,
to rape, then to torture and murder, he got more and more and more and more and more confident.
Yeah, I think that the things that he was doing in the past, like torturing animals, being mean to the kids, you know, I don't think it was feeding his, you know, sick desires enough. And like you said, it just started escalating, and he had to have more and more until it got to the point where now we're in, you know, here talking about it.
And we're going to continue to talk about it. I know some people aren't happy about it, but we're going to continue to talk about it because we're not going to stop with this case until it's done.
Right.
I had a message from a woman the other day that said that he actually did get in trouble because he put his daughter in a dog cage. Do you know about that?
Yeah, so I had read some comments on that OSBI post. And somebody had said that he would put his daughter in a dog cage. I don't know much detail about it, but I believe it. It doesn't surprise me one bit.
Yeah, Matt, he had help. He had someone bringing him women. I'm going to bring another family member up now, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Can you unmute your mic?
Hello.
Hi. So did you hear the show? I mean,
I did. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. It's horrific what happened to Tara.
Yes. I just want to start by saying my heart hurts so bad for her family, her kids, the other lady that was on the show, and anybody else that has crossed paths with him. He's a monster.
Okay, this is a question you may not be able to answer, both of you. If the authorities need your cooperation, are you going to give them cooperation and tell them what you know?
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
I know that the authorities have reached out to a few family members.
Not us, or to my knowledge.
No, don't even say that, because that's part of the investigation. So when was the last time you saw him?
I was just trying to sit here and think about that. The last time I seen him, would have been many, many years ago. I left Arkansas when I was 15, or 16 actually, and moved far, far away. But I came home every year to visit. I would say probably when I seen him last, the last time I remember seeing him, he was grown and had, I'm not sure if they were ever married or not, and I wish I did know now. His first, I guess, baby mama or wife or whatever she was, they had came to where I was visiting my grandmother, not his. And they did not have kids together at that time, but I believe they ended up having a kid together. She had 2 kids, which one would have been the one that you guys just talked about, I'm assuming, the little girl. But so that would have probably been around 10 years ago, I guess.
Okay.
He has tried to reach out to me multiple times over the years since then. I did try to talk with him a few years back. Around the time that he lost, or I thought that they had lost their baby, I'd heard that. And at that time, I hadn't spoke or had any communication with him in many years. But of course, anybody that loses a baby, my heart hurts for at that time, prior to knowing all this. So I did try to reach out to him and what I thought was his wife, over the loss of their baby. Now I don't even know what to think about all that, but he was very, very ugly to me when I tried to reach out to them with my condolences about the baby I thought had died from SIDS. Very, very nasty to me.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time I was like, okay, well, maybe it's, because he's dealing with the loss of a baby. And so those emotions, now looking back, I just believe that was just his normal. So I just let it go. I did send arrangements to the baby's little thing, and I was like, if you want to talk, I'm here. If not, fine. And that was that. And then it was many, many months after that, he reached out to me, and I was thinking it was to, maybe apologize for being so ugly, or maybe talk about the loss of his baby. But no, it was none of that. I guess he was over the loss of his baby at that point and just wanted to call and talk to me with his crazy ways. And I just wasn't having it. Like, if you want to talk to me about losing your child or something like that, I can be here for you, but I can't do his crazy demeanor. Well, then that's when I realized that some things never change, I guess. So I ended that communication very quickly.
Good for you. Amber just said all previous cases need to be reopened. Anything from misdemeanor to a felony.
Amen.
Yeah.
And I really pray that they do look in. Well, I think that there should be justice for definitely Tara and her family, 100%. But I also think that he should be responsible for everything he's done to all these other ladies, to any kids. My heart tells me that his children, which I don't even know how people like him are able to reproduce, but he did, unfortunately. And God only knows what those kids have been through. And, you know, they probably need some help so that they don't end up being a monster like the person that has been a big part of their lives, apparently. Just sick to think.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you guys both this. Did you guys ever hear about any like grandiose ideas of his? Did he ever talk to you about being an engineer at NASA or building a military tank?
Yes, that's what she was saying previously. Even when he was trying to be normal, it was very hard to be around him because he is such a pathological liar that his lies are so far-fetched. He has probably been to the moon on his own spacecraft, he would tell you.
He told his stepdad that he built a fully functional military tank from the ground up, from scratch, and it was fully functional. And his stepdad called bullshit. He's like, no, there's no way you did that. And it was, oh yeah, I did. And that's kind of what I was talking about at the funeral. You know, you can't sit there and listen to him talk because it's nothing but lies that come out of his mouth.
And they're so far-fetched.
And the grandma on that side is a very, you know, old-fashioned Christian woman. You don't cuss around her. You don't say those kind of things. And everything that slipped out of his mouth was terrible. And like I said, he has no filter. And his sister told him to shut up a couple of times because the things that he was saying was just awful.
Well, I mean, he makes no goddamn sense.
No. Just like he had told me right before I ended communication with him the last time, that he was a wildlife trapper for the state.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And I'm like, really?
Well, he's a trapper, all right, but not that type.
Facts. And meanwhile, I'm like, how are you all this stuff when I don't even know how he spells his name? Like she said, we've always known him as Alex. I would have probably bet every penny in my bank account, which, mind you, ain't a whole lot of pennies. But I'm very shocked that he could even spell Nathaniel, if the truth be told.
A few days after Tara was reported missing, he changed his Facebook from Nathaniel Davis to Davis Nathan.
Yeah, I saw that. He had sent me a friend request, and I didn't accept it. I didn't want to be friends with him. He had cussed me out on Facebook because he expressed on many occasions how bad he hated his family, and you know the feeling was mutual. But he had expressed how bad he hated us, cussed me out on Facebook, cussed his siblings out on Facebook, and then wanted to be all of our friends. I wouldn't accept his friend request. But I did the other day because I wanted to go through there and look and see if I could find anything. But then I immediately just deleted him as a friend on Facebook.
And it appeared to me that he had changed his name several times on Facebook over the last, I guess, couple years, however far back I could go.
Well, that's how unintelligent he is.
I mean, I can see him maybe possibly being able to spell Nathan, but I don't know that he could spell Nathaniel right now if somebody asked him.
Exactly. I before E except after C. I don't see. That must have been autocorrect for his dumbass.
It had to be.
I mean, he's a sick motherfucker. He really is.
Yes, he is. And that's
very
just how
sick.
Unintelligent he is he thinks people can't look up Davis Nathan or put those two names together and find him. You know, after all that, I guess, is when he changed his name on Facebook.
Or maybe because he felt like the heat was coming. I had heard from another family member that he, prior to Tara being found, that makes my skin crawl to even say that.
Let me ask you really quick, okay, because you just came in. And like I told you ladies, anything you don't want to answer, don't. Just please don't. when you were told about Tara and you were told that Nathaniel was responsible. Now there's two other people involved too, but he's the main one. What were your thoughts?
When my family member called me, she was so shaken trying to tell me. It took me a minute to even realize what she was saying. And I can't tell you what my thoughts were. As much as I would want to say that I'm shocked, it wasn't shocking. It was shocking to what was shocking to me was, in my mind, all I could think of was, who is Tara? Because I knew that, first of all, she was very beautiful when I seen the picture of her. And so I said, I don't even know this lady, but there's no way that this lady would, just via me looking at her pictures, there's no way that that was somebody that would associate with Alex, was my first thought. So who was she? No way that it was a love interest, not in my mind. Alex could never have gotten, no, just no. So that was my first thoughts, was, who is she? And that was the only shocking thing to me, because I felt like in my heart, like I could see Alex probably someday doing something like that to one of his family members, or a wife, or somebody like that. But I think that what shocked me was, like, these were like
Somebody that was unrelated.
Yeah.
See, and you're not the first person to tell me that. Many people said that they assumed at some point in his life that he would do this to, like, a partner, you know, a wife or a girlfriend.
That would be my thoughts. And that's probably why we have always kept our distance from him. In saying that, I'm older than him. I never have been physically, I guess, scared of him. But I mean, I'd be physically scared to be alone with him, or my kids to be alone with him. That would be a never. But because I am older than him, he did not do the things around me when he was younger that he did younger people in our family. So it was like he targeted people that he felt, I guess, that he could control, is what I think.
He targeted vulnerable people because he couldn't get away with it with people who could stop him.
And he always had to have attention. Like when she was saying about him having no filter, you know, it's just an unwritten rule how you act at a funeral. It's not about you. You know, somebody, they were grieving the loss of a grandparent, a husband, and if you're there, you should be there to, you know, be respectful for the family, show your support, not be there to, what about me? Which that was just Alex. He had to have the spotlight in everything he did. If it meant that he had to tell you he flew a spaceship to the moon.
Yeah, the stories he told people, everything from rebuilding small engines to a NASA engineer to military tanks. Nobody would believe that, even from a crazy person.
If I didn't hear the words
crazy, I'm not saying crazy as in a little off, a little grandiose, a little histrionic. I'm not saying that. He's a goddamn psychopath.
A monster psychopath. I feel like a monster is a nice name for him. I don't know if they create a word that describes how I feel about him. It's like when I heard AV speaking the other day. If I didn't hear it in my own ears, out of her mouth, that he had employees showing up, I would have said that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. There's no way Alex has employees or can run anything.
I think that's what is baffling to all of us, is the fact that Alex had accomplices, and had somebody taking women to him, and the fact that he was
that anybody could even be around him.
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. The fact that I didn't even know, like, the fact that he owned a chicken business, I guess, from what I heard.
Yeah, something about a chicken business was probably another lie. And I don't
Okay.
believe he actually had employees. I think he was an employee himself. But
Of something,
somehow,
right?
being a goddamn devil, I think he got people that were paid by the day to do things for him.
Correct. And it would have to be. It would have to be. And it would have to be people that he could manipulate, or that, probably didn't have any other options. I will tell you right now, and this sounds terrible, but the fact that he ever had the first girlfriend, the one that had her own 2 kids, and he went around, I mean, he brought these kids to family members' places and were saying that they were his kids. Now, at that time, there was no way they were his kids. No way whatsoever. And it was well known. First of all, they weren't even the same race. But he would say, these are his kids. Not I adopted these kids, but these are my kids. And the fact that was the first one that I knew of.
He doesn't have the money to adopt anyone. Come on.
No. The fact that I even knew that a girl was even with him, especially a girl that had kids, like, that blew my mind, because I'm like, what in the world? Like, okay, maybe this girl isn't all there. But I'm thinking, isn't all there, like, not in a psychotic way like Alex, but maybe she didn't have any other options. Or I don't know. But then when he went on to the next one, got married and actually had kids, I'm like, how in the world? Like, these girls, how does this even happen? Because I still to this day can't process that he was ever even able to get a girlfriend, nevertheless, like 3 wives and a bunch of kids.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
And
like,
then the last wife and the mama of the baby at the hospital, like, I don't know what kind of cult that was going on, but it seemed to me like they were like sister wives, one big happy family. I don't know. Like, I wish that honestly somebody would check into the well-being of those children, because they probably don't need to be with the people they're with that actually live with Alex. Those people have to know how Alex was.
Right. And check on their mental state, because
well,
I feel like you have to be completely deranged to have a relationship with Alex.
When his own family has not even. And it's not because we're an ugly family. Like she said, our whole entire family, cousins, sisters, brothers, aunts, uncles, grandparents, we've all been raised in Christian upbringings. All of us are normal. We all have successful lives, but there was only so much you could do with him, and that goes back to the shitty justice we have in this world, because there was couldn't get rid of him. His own parents couldn't get rid of him.
they tried. They tried.
He was in and out of places for help, but they would send him back. And he was even problems at those places. Big problems.
Which no one has sympathy for him.
No.
I want everyone to get that clear, because I've caught a lot of hell the last few days, and I've said I will never victim shame, and I will never sympathize or humanize a murderer, ever. There's a whole department at the FBI that tries to understand a criminal mind. That is not on my resume. Mark Goforth has a question. What exactly did he do? I know he killed somebody, but how? Well, he kidnapped and murdered a woman. He kidnapped and murdered Tara Strozier. We won't get into details because this is on YouTube and it's horrific. If you want to check out the OSBI, they have their page. Fox News, New York Post, San Antonio, Tulsa, Oklahoma City. Joplin picked it up now. Springdale, Arkansas, Kansas City. If you just Google Tara Strozier, you'll see. And there, you'll get no good feels. None. Well, Matt, it's really not intrusive if someone just comes in and they're like, well, what happened? So that's all I'm going to put it at. And Matt, you're not in trouble. You know, love you to death. So I'm going to ask you guys a question. And again, you can answer or don't answer. Again, you know, you're his family. You know his close personal family. Odds are the state of Oklahoma, they are going to go for the death penalty. What are your feelings about that?
He deserves it. He
100%.
100% deserves, and I said this from the beginning, he deserves anything that they throw his way.
I hope that if that happens, it's not the easy way out for him, which, I mean, I personally would not think that that's the easy, that wouldn't be the good life for myself. I mean, even going to jail wouldn't be, but, you know, I don't want him to be protected by any measures. I think that when he goes to prison, he should go. He should go in general population with everybody. He should not be protected for the things he's done, by no means. Not that I think that they will protect him. Probably don't want to know my true thoughts on it because they're probably not appropriate.
No, say what you want.
I think
say
that,
what I want, that you can. I say
take
enough.
him to the town square and do to him what everything that he has done to Tara and any other people that he has hurt. That would be my idea of justice.
I think that
obviously they won't do that, but
I think lethal injection is, I don't think it's, how do I say that? I don't think that it's,
I think it's too kind, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's, I think so as well. I think they should take him out back and put a bullet in his head.
I think that's too kind as well, but.
Hang on one second. Amber says, I wonder how he answered the question when they asked about his family. Obviously you mean Nathaniel, when they asked about his family. Is that what you mean, Amber? You can put it in chat. So death row in Oklahoma is no fun, but they have a lot of appeals. They go to McAllister, Oklahoma. The road that leads up to it is called Electric Avenue. You're sure to die. Oklahoma doesn't fuck around. Oklahoma, Texas, and Florida, they don't. They're big death penalty states. And I don't know this for sure, but I'm just going to guess, pretty educated guess, that they're going to go for the death penalty. So are you guys prepared for crazies on the internet, people that are opposed to the death penalty, people that are super upset, insanely upset about Tara, to come after you guys? Do you have all your profiles locked down and everything like that?
I really don't think that we even thought about that.
Because we consider ourselves, up until now, I mean, when we talk about our family, when we do family things, we've DNA or blood wise, I guess he is considered our family, but he's not our family. So he's been a stranger to us like he has everybody else in the world outside of his little world. So, I mean,
I'm just giving some sage advice. Just protect yourselves. And
absolutely.
Just be careful. And, because let's just say when it gets to that, the death penalty, okay? You'll have all these groups from the Northeast, believe it or not, and they'll come down and they'll harass people, okay? Because they don't believe in it. In Oklahoma, we do. So the best thing to do is just don't answer any calls or anything like that. I mean, I think this live will clear everything up for your family, honestly.
Right.
Kane just said Utah still has a firing squad. I did not know that.
What was that?
Utah still has a firing squad. I forgot about Indiana because Terre Haute, yeah, they still have the death penalty there. Yep, they do it in Terre Haute in Indiana.
I mean, I feel like he should get the worst of whatever the law allows, and I still don't know that that's enough for him, but he should definitely, the worst the law allows, I'm for it.
This woman just said he is protected in PC, Oklahoma, the male more than likely. Well, I mean, when you go to death row, you are protected. Jail, yeah, he'll be protected if he gets on death row, but he's only 30 years old. They will eventually, when they get the death penalty, he'll be put to death. And that's A-okay by me if anyone's asking for my stance.
Absolutely.
Because I don't know if you guys know about Clayton Lockett, but Oklahoma knows how to screw up their death penalty. That's the reason the Supreme Court wanted to get rid of it. And they don't care. They keep charging on. And that's a lot for people to hear, but
it wouldn't hurt my feelings if it went wrong twice and he had to sit there longer and do it a third time. I don't know. I don't know if there is no punishment strong enough for him, which in saying that, maybe there is. Maybe that would be it, and then he can answer to God for the things he's done. My heart just hurts for Tara's family. I can't.
And that's the main thing. We were talking the other day and talking earlier today. How do you wrap your mind around what he did?
You just can't.
I wish I could give an answer for that. Yeah, I don't
think any
my
of
brain
us
cannot even process it.
have wrapped our head around it. Not just, I can't wrap my head around anybody doing anything to anybody else that's unrelated to us.
I was about to say the same. If I seen this case somewhere else and it wasn't somebody we knew,
I still couldn't wrap my head around it, but I definitely can't. We just cannot wrap our heads around this whole thing.
Well, and then in our churches here, Baptist churches, once saved, always saved. But there's some things are not redeemable. And what he did is not. He's going to hell.
He is going to hell.
No, he can't be. He cannot be saved.
No, he cannot. Not in the Baptist church. He cannot. And so, I mean, he's deemed to hell.
And rightfully so.
Absolutely. I mean, he's a monster.
He is a monster. There's a few more women that want to come on in the next couple of weeks. They just want to see how the arraignment goes today. Mm-hmm. Rightfully so, just in case he gets out. I don't think it'll happen. But they just want to be careful.
So Are you saying a few more women as in more victims?
Yes.
And I think that's another reason why, we've been so worried is because we had no idea what kind of operation he had going on, if they were trafficking, if they, if he had people still outside that would come.
Is there a larger group to this?
Yeah. We want everybody to be protected. That's speaking out against him and, you know, all his victims to be protected. Because, you know, like I said, we don't know if he's got people outside still that would come after everybody.
But
He
in
does.
saying that, I don't want anybody
He
to
does.
be so scared that they won't safely tell authorities. Don't, because you deserve justice too if he did something to you. So I do hope that anybody that has had bad dealings with him comes forward somehow.
And they will. And they will. And I don't want anyone to put, that's why I say don't use your names, don't use your picture.
I'm not sure how he was out of jail after the girl in May. That really blows my mind right there in itself.
Oh, because Talahina couldn't process the rape kit in time.
In time.
And
Yeah.
I still don't understand why they couldn't keep them and then figure that out.
So
and that's what I said. Way to
never
go,
raped
Governor
it.
Stitt. Way to go. Hand clap for you, Governor Stitt.
So there's a time frame for rape kits.
I guess she was saying they haven't been able to process it, but meanwhile, I'm like,
Oh,
there's lots of rape victims that never had rape kits done, that somebody's being held on rape without a rape kit. So I understand that.
But I mean, there's a couple people that are involved and they're still out. So hopefully the OSBI continues investigating and they can pin something down and break up this circle.
Yeah, they need to get everybody that's been involved throughout the years, months, whatever it takes. Like they said, reopen any other investigation. And I mean, pin it to him.
Everything. Like, I hope that everybody he has been associated with, I couldn't even tell you where Alex lived at, honestly. I know somewhere in Arkansas or Oklahoma. I live in neither, but wherever he has been living and everybody he's been associated with, I really hope that they have thoroughly investigated all of these people so they can get to all of this.
I think you're losing service.
Yeah, FAM 2, you're losing service.
Sounds like she's driving.
Yeah. Well, we're not going to mention other people's names that could be involved. That's up to the authorities.
Yeah. Well, like she was saying, hopefully they find anybody that he's been associated with in any way, and you know, catch them if they've been a part of this.
Exactly. Well, ladies, I appreciate you guys being on.
Thank you
very much. And I'm going to wind this down unless anyone has any questions that, you know, any of us can answer. She just said, who can I message? I have a question. Want to post because I don't want anyone to know where I'm located or who I am. You can just put it in chat. No one's going to know who you are. You can ask a question. If you want to ask a question, you're absolutely welcome to. It's whether, you know, it can be answered or not. Some things can and some things can't. Let's give our condolences to Tara's family right now.
Yes. We want to give our condolences to her family, her kids. I mean, it's I couldn't imagine what they're going through right now, and it's a terrible
No, my
thing.
heart hurts every day for them.
And it just it sickens us. Um, if we could have steered everybody away from Alex, if you know, throughout the years, we definitely would have. But unfortunately, we didn't know anything about his personal life and who he had contact with and who his friends were. But to her family and the rest of his victims, from the bottom of our hearts, we're extremely, extremely sick and sorry that this happened to everybody.
Well, I mean, your family did nothing wrong. I mean, in my opinion, if other people say something different, they're ignorant because there's nothing you could do. I mean, they went through every avenue they could.
Yeah, and like you said, you can't just throw somebody in jail on a bad feeling. If that was the case, he would have been locked up a long time ago.
Yeah, this is not Minority Report. We just can't see things in the future and put people in jail.
Right.
If someone's acting weird and a kid is doing something crazy, we just can't. It takes a lot to put someone in an institution or put them in jail.
Right.
That's the truth.
And even if you get that, it's keeping them there is even harder.
Amber's right. Police didn't make it a priority. Well, they didn't make the case in May a priority. And the detective's going to be back in on Monday. And hopefully he can get to work on another woman's case.
Yes, and it's terrible that it has to come to this in order for them to actually do something about it.
Absolutely.
Well, because the sick fuck has escalated for so many years and nothing can be done. Nothing.
Right. So I don't know if you were able to answer this question or not, but did his other victims try to press charges on him and turn him in?
I don't want to answer for them. They have to tell their own story,
Okay.
Because, if they're listening, they're going to say, that's really not what I said.
Yeah, I gotcha.
That's their story to tell. And that's their horror that they went through.
Right.
And it's awful. It's disgusting. And I mean, in my opinion, he needs to be sitting by himself for a long time. Solitary confinement, no general population. He shouldn't talk to people.
He would never make it. Never. Somebody would kill him quickly. I don't know how he's made it in front of, that's what I'm shocked that he even had accomplices in any of this, because I don't know how they were able to be around him, but he would never make it in that life.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that, he hasn't been beaten down by an angry father or an angry, somebody, because there was a girl who had said, that he would come over and talk to her dad, and she was a teenage girl, talk to her dad and say how beautiful the daughters were and just go on and on and on about how beautiful they were. And then that he would sit outside and watch this girl's window, and I think he was messaging the dad or texting him or something and another and say, hey, your daughter's sneaking out. Well, she's like, okay, how does he know this? And she said it scared her because she would always leave her window unlocked at night. And I can't remember if she said it was either cracked or open or whatever, but and then there was another woman who had said that she was living with somebody who was working for him, and he would come over and just kind of make himself at home, sit down and talk. She said that on a couple occasions she had to tell him to shut up because he just kept saying bad things in front of the kids, cussing, because like we said, he has no filter. And he had told her, come shut me up. It sounds like something I'd like. And
Did you guys know about his association with the Aryan Brotherhood?
No, that's actually the first time I've heard anything about that.
Okay.
That would be a really strange thought to
Relationship?
me. Yeah.
I don't know
Or
much
for what
about.
I think that the Aryan Brotherhood is. Maybe I'm have it confused in my mind what they represent.
Yeah, I'm not too sure who. I've heard the name. I just don't know who they are exactly.
It's the white pride, white supremacy.
That's what I thought, which would be very hard for me to wrap my head around Alex being involved with them because Alex is like Asian.
Okay. Okay. It's probably another one of his lies. Who would know?
So he said that himself?
It's just some messages I had that he said that he was part of that.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what I was thinking. I thought it was like a white extreme group on white supremacy. That's why I'm like, oh, I mean, I would find it very weird for them to have a member as him because he is of Asian descent, which is like when she said earlier that he is not like any of us. He doesn't look like any of us and his whole entire family.
But he said he was Cherokee Indian.
He is definitely not Cherokee Indian.
Also a lie.
Well, I mean, if he is, he is. I mean, obviously they've dropped him now because they'll have nothing to do with what he's done. And Kane's right. The AV doesn't kill women. They actually have a code.
There's no telling what he's a part of from what he has said.
Hang on one second, guys. I'll be right back. All right, I got that readjusted. My microphone was like way off. Ashley said, yes, they do. They killed a girl in Oklahoma City by trapping her while she was alive with a chainsaw. Oh. Is that the Aryan Nation or Brotherhood, Ashley, in Oklahoma? And Matt, you're right. If they had done something about the rape, the murder wouldn't have happened. And I will never victim shame, but if a couple other women would have gone to the police, then there would have been more of a paper trail.
Right.
Yes, there's no reason it should have ever got to this. I mean, there's no reason for any of it ever happening, ever. But it definitely should have never, ever went this far, ever.
And what Tara went through is what nightmares are made of.
Absolutely awful.
It's the worst of the worst. We see things on the news, we're desensitized, okay? And we see there was a shooting in this area. This happened here. Domestic violence here. And we're like, that's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But when you hear this story, you're like, this is the worst of society.
Yeah, I wouldn't, like you said, I could see this being on Dateline. Because of, you know, how traumatic this was and how disgusting he is. And I couldn't, I mean, I knew he was, I knew he was psychotic and I knew he was, you know, crazy, but I just did not, I didn't know that it was to that extent.
Well, he's a sick fuck. That's
Yes.
all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
And as it unfolds, you know, it's gonna take a while. What's gonna come out is gonna be more than any of us can process or wrap our heads around.
Mm.
Yeah, because, you know, this, there has probably been way more than what we know about throughout the years, months. I mean, I think that it's, I think you're right. I think there's going to be a lot unraveling throughout this case.
Oh, a
I have
lot
a
too.
question for you, Brooks. I don't know if you can answer it or not, just because I'm unfamiliar with the court system in Oklahoma. My question is, do you think that he will sit in the county jail for years before he goes to trial on this, or do they move pretty quickly?
Well, he's got a hearing in a few minutes. And I don't know from there. They'll assign another hearing from there. It's on ODCR. Someone said they took everything down, so you can't see it. But the people that are going today will hear when the next hearing is.
So what are they figuring out today?
Today's the arraignment.
Okay.
And surely there's no way that they will even offer him any kind of plea, I hope.
Oh, I can't see there being a plea bargain. I mean, he doesn't even, I mean, I haven't seen that he even has an attorney. Who would represent him? I mean, the only one that can get a bond is Kaylin for obstruction of an officer. And basically that's just for lying about what he knew. And and that was basically the most they could charge him with. I mean, and they'll set it
they were able to get
because it's Oklahoma. I mean, they will. Oklahoma, they'll build a jail for nothing. They don't care.
Well, it's too bad they couldn't charge him with more because he knew it was going on. And obviously he was okay with it because he didn't turn it in. And he could, you know, still be a danger to other people.
Yeah, because obviously he doesn't have a moral compass.
No.
To know when to call 911.
Right. And I don't know if he was afraid of what.
Even if he was afraid, though, once he got to safety, if it was a day or two later, he could have reported it.
Right.
Well, and a couple other people could have too.
Right.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of things are going to come out. It's disgusting. It's totally disgusting. The whole story is disgusting. Not Tara's part of it, but there's a lot of things going on that a lot of people had the opportunity to do the right thing.
Yes.
And like I said, that's going to come out. I'm not doing that today because it's not public information. I won't do that. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that have to live with this. I say a lot. There's a few. They have to live with this. And if they can't do the right thing, well, then they have to deal with hell later.
Yeah.
Right. Because suppose it was their family that happened to. I'm sure their feelings would be a little different. I hope that anybody that that's able to help in any kind of way or knows any information comes forward with it. Like,
Well, I just hope that Tara's mom and her kids are given appropriate counseling, that someone explains the Victims Impact Fund for them.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that, the GoFundMe, I don't care about that so much because GoFundMe, they're assholes and they'll take part of the money. People donate or drop off money to her mom's office to help with whatever they need. Hopefully it gets to a point where they can sue LaFleur County for dropping the ball.
absolutely.
Because there is no reason for Nathaniel to have been out and been allowed to do this.
Absolutely.
Yes. Sorry, I'm reading a comment. I guess one of the parents of the guys is on here.
Well, I'll put the link down there if he wants to come on.
Okay. Yes, I hope that her family gets all of the help they need, because this isn't just something that goes away ever. I mean, they have to live with this tragedy for the rest of their lives.
And they're going to have to hear in court, whether they're there in person or not,
Mm-hmm.
or they hear about it later, they're going to have to hear what happened. And it's going to be too much to process. A normal brain cannot process what happened.
Right.
I mean, what I have heard was too much for me to even think about. I mean, I couldn't even, I say wrap my mind around it. Can't process it, can't digest it.
Yeah, I think that's the perfect word, is you just can't digest it. I mean, you just can't sit there. I mean, it's hard to sit there and think that somebody could do such terrible things to somebody else and not think about their family, their children, them. I mean, their life. It's unreal.
All right, we have someone that wants to come on. Hang on. Hello?
Hey, Brooke. It's Savage. If everybody doesn't know who I am, it's Savage Sushi Southern. My Google account got hacked, and so I've had to make a new Google account, and I'm having a hard time trying to figure out how to put my old screen on. But I live in Oklahoma. I live right around where this happened, and actually my brother-in-law's girlfriend's ex-husband is the superintendent in Poteau.
Oh, okay. So what do you think about this case and how insanely disgusting and devilish it is?
Disgusting, but it happens all the time in this world, and especially down here. Tara she had charges. She was, going to prison. And even though that she wasn't snitching, that whole world, they're so paranoid because of the drugs that they could have thought that she was. And that's why they did what they did to her. Or it could just be that they're sick freaks. And that's
They
where
are
we
sick
fit in
fucking
at.
freaks.
Yeah. I mean, they're sick freaks whether or not that, either way, they're sick freaks. And they need to die. You know, thank God Oklahoma has the death penalty. We don't
Yeah,
play
but do you
around
think
here.
they're scared of death?
What?
Do you think they're scared of death at all?
No. They're not scared to die. They're
No.
not scared to die. Not at all. It's just, it's so sad. I feel so bad for her kid. I cannot even imagine losing your mom that way at that age. You know, it's just, they deserve to be tortured every day of their lives.
We lost her. I'm sorry.
Oh, there's.
Hi, Trampus. Are you there?
Yeah, I can get my mic to come on.
Oh, I can hear it now. I think. Ash is trying to come back on and we lost Trampus.
Yeah, I don't think anybody has a good connection.
No, doesn't sound like it.
And this is Kaylin's dad, right?
Yeah, but his microphone's not working.
Yeah, it sounded like it worked. It just, he was losing service. Looked like he was in a truck.
Well, we'll see if he can come back in. Yeah, he's a truck driver.
Okay, yeah, that's what it looks like.
Well, I mean, if not, I mean, we'll do this again and everyone come back in. So it's been a big day, guys. A lot to take in. Alex Nathaniel Davis is, I don't know the clinical term, so I'm just going to use mine. He's a piece of shit.
Yes.
It's a monster.
He's a monster. He's the worst of society.
It's a shame that it took so long to get him off the streets.
There's no saving him.
Absolutely not.
All right, hang on. Let's try this again. No, it's not connected. Yeah, Ash came in twice, but it's not connected. David says, anyone know the exact date she died? No, that'll come out. But Austin, that was with him, is he's a minion that is a piece of shit.
So was Alex, I think that we're just trying to understand what was in it for these other people.
Who knows? I mean, that'll come out later. I mean, who knows how he got them into this?
Yeah.
But it's sick.
Yeah, I had actually heard some things about that, Austin, and I don't know these two people, Austin or Kaylin. I had read where Austin would somebody had said that he would go around where he lived with a clean shaven face, because he looks really young, with a clean shaven face, and pretend to be like an early teen begging for money. And if somebody told him no, he said that he would talk in a normal voice, start cussing them out and things like that. So I know that I don't have to say this, but he obviously was not, he wasn't normal either. There was something wrong with that kid too.
Well, I mean, we'll find out. From what we know, the facts is that Alex Nathaniel Davis kidnapped her,
Mm-hmm.
took her to a mobile home, tortured her, and killed her by a pond. And he had 2 accomplices. We also know what other people have told us about other heinous shit crimes he did.
Yeah.
And right now, that's all we have to go off of. I think we're going to do another show on Monday or Tuesday, depending on when the people that are at court today to see the hearing can come on. And hopefully Caitlin's dad joins us so he can explain or, talk about how his son got involved. And again, we are not excusing, humanizing, or sympathizing with anyone that was involved with the kidnapping, torture, and murder of Tara. Will never happen.
No, I mean, because if you know it's happening and you do nothing about it, in my opinion, you're just as guilty.
Amen.
Yeah, we don't excuse anything around here. Not at all.
No, nothing like that is excusable. There's nothing you could say that would ever be able to excuse anything that they did.
All right, guys. Well, I'm going to wind this down, and I'll put a link up for the next live about Tara. Like I said, I don't know if it's going to be on Monday or Tuesday right now. I've got to get a hold of a couple of people to see when they can come on to tell us what happened in court. Like I said, New York Post is following it, People Magazine, Fox News, a lot of different affiliates. Nancy Grace's lazy ass isn't doing it, but that's
Who is that?
Nancy Grace.
I know who that is.
So we're just going to stay on it, and we're going to follow this through. I want to say thank you very much to you two for coming on. Yeah, Ashley, there is an Oklahoma victim compensation fund, and there's also one in Arkansas. So anyone who has been through any kind of untimely death, especially what Tara went through, there is a compensation fund. In Arkansas, it's between $10,000 and $25,000. So whatever money you put towards the family will go to, I don't know if they're going to file out for that. I don't know. They may not know about it. And that doesn't matter. It's give with your heart, not your hand. That's all I can say. They should get the money and therapy.
Yeah. I
So,
agree.
again, thank you. Thank you so much to you brave ladies for coming up.
Well, thank you for having us.
You have no idea how brave you were coming on. You have no idea.
Well, we appreciate you having us.
No, we give everyone their fair shake and to tell their side of the story. And for you to come on and say, we're supporting the family, not him.
100%.
100%. And thank you for all the work you're doing on
Yes.
this to push this through for the family.
Absolutely, because what happened to her should never happen to anyone.
Absolutely not.
All right. On that note, I'm going to end the show, and we'll be back in a little bit because we're covering justice for Michaela. Her family was told that she overdosed, but it was actually murder. So we're covering a protest that her family's having. So we're back in a few minutes with that. All right, you guys are the best. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for moderating, and especially thank you to you ladies for coming on.
Yes,
Thank you. And our prayers are with Tara's family.
Yeah.
And yeah, prayers for Tara's family and justice for Tara's family.
Absolutely.
All right, everyone, have a good afternoon.